Grace and peace, everyone. Good morning. It is Friday, and Friday means intersection day. So today we are going to talk about the themes, the intersections, the threads, whatever you want to call them, that run through the four passages that we've studied this week. So on Monday, we read John chapter 2, verses 1 to 11. And that passage was about the sign of turning water to wine. On Tuesday, we talked about 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 1 to 11, which was about the spiritual gifts. And on Wednesday, we read from the Old Testament from Isaiah 62, and that talked about a new name, and it talked about weddings and God's delight over us. And then yesterday, we read from Psalm 36, and that was a psalm of prayer that talked about how God generously gives his people love that flows out of who he is as a person. So that's what we talked about. So now, what were the themes that we discovered? So I'm going to share a few with you, and then I encourage you to share what you found back to the community here on Facebook. The first one that stood out to me was this theme of wedding, the theme of marriage that runs through the text, specifically in the gospel text, the water to wine at a wedding ceremony. In the Bible, the wedding metaphor runs throughout Old Testament and New Testament, speaking of God's relationship with his people. God is the bridegroom. We, as his people, are the bride. And God loves us faithfully, even when we aren't faithful to him. His love continues. It's a covenant type of love, and he cares deeply for us. And so he is the groom, we are the bride. So it's a really cool metaphor. The second thing that jumped out to me was this idea of abundance of God's love, his generosity. That's who he is in character, the abundant amount of wine that is produced, the abundant gift of spiritual gifts, the new name, the abundant love, the steadfast love listed 3 times in the Psalms. So that theme of generosity, the theme of abundance, extraordinary extravagance, all of that speaks to who God is. It's his character. It's not something just he does. It's something that is who he is. And the third theme that jumped out to me is the idea of once we receive the abundance, we share it for the common good. So there is our response to allow the generosity of God that we receive, the gifts that we receive, to flow out of who we are to those around us for the common good. That's the reason Paul says that we are given spiritual gifts is for the common good. It's not just for us. And I believe that the wine isn't just for us, it's for the common good. I think in the Old Testament, that theme is all the way through the Hebrew Scriptures of us being a light to the world so that we are able to show people who God is. That was the original intention given to the Israelites, and then that is carried into the church. So we need to share what God has blessed us with. All right, so the application for me is, what do I need to share with others for the benefit of the common good, whether that be my time, talents, and treasures, and as Paul said, the spiritual gifts. And so that abundant love that God has showed me, how to flow that out to those around me. So that's it for this week. I'm very curious to what you came up with. So in the comments, if you would share your thoughts on the intersections for this week. And I will see you next week as we begin a whole new set of scriptures. See you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Stay warm. Be safe. Talk to you soon.